So I just finished watching season 2 of Main Abyss and the movie back to back, and holy shit, the amount of emotion roller coaster I went through is like I'm speedrunning the emotional spectrum from wholesomeness to pure depression. Main Abyss started off nice and slow with its introductory to the fantasy setting of Orth, Rico's hometown, and the Abyss. A lot of characters have mentioned throughout the series that most people have this sort of longing of going inside the Abyss, each with their own reason. Rico wants to find her mom through a vaguely written message, Rex wants to go back down to recover his memory, and Nanachi just wants to escape poverty. We also have the Ganja group from season 2 which travel towards the Great Hole to establish a new settlement. And as Wazukan said himself, he got the sense of homesick when looking at the compass, which to me, it seems that there is a deep irresistible compulsion with some people to explore the Abyss, despite the danger and the mysterious aspect of it. Whether or not the Abyss is truly alive, it is shown that characters like Rico and Wazukan made a conscious effort in seeking this calling alongside their agenda and went inside the Abyss. In terms of the design, I love the concept of a giant, devouring hole that allows people to go in for the treasure that's available in each layer, but with consequences which become heavier the lower you're in. I've been stuck watching so many average fantasy isekai anime that my brain has become sort of numb to the same setting and story that I'm relieved Main Abyss decided to spice things up and gave me the satisfaction and depression together. Each of the layers in the Abyss has its own unique landscape and design. The first layer, Edge of the Abyss, is the most shallow section of the Abyss, and the environment consists of grassy rock and petrified trees, and most of the animal here is harmless. The second layer, Forest of Temptation, filled with forests and large vegetation, but also a special area called Inverted Forest where trees grow upside down and the updraft wind blows hard even the water flows upward. This is also the start where the creatures start to become quite hostile and dangerous for cave dwellers. The third layer is Great Fault, consists of 4,000 meters vertical cliff filled with a large network of cave around the shaft, but also probably my least favorite layer even after my second rewatching it. The fourth layer, Goblet of Giant, is a strange humid jungle of vines and giant's concave discs, which reminds me of giant lily pad, and also has the feel of Eternal Fortune, which is the flower of the Abyss. The fifth layer, the Sea of Corpses, which is also my favorite, is the shortest layer of the Abyss, but is also the widest. It consists of mostly large monster-filled sea creature with crystallized section held up by slimy water. It also houses this like ancient ritual site. And finally, the sixth layer, the capital of the Unreturned, the place that started the Golden City rumor. It is filled with ruins of old cities and buildings in every direction, and some are even covered in crystals. There is also an abundance of living creatures in this depth, and also the layer where Iruburu was formed. I do have to mention this beforehand though, because while Main Abyss is pretty much top 5 anime in my book, it is not for everyone. It explores some very mature themes/subject that's not suitable for some people, and these people don't handle this kind of stuff. The first season hinted at this darker theme across the season, starting off with that mimic corpse eater, to Ozen, and finally the elevator. We do get to see that through each layer, Rico faced the harsh nature of the Abyss and the fact that it is not very forgiving for anyone to explore. It's also probably the only anime where children are turned into a battery. We gotta give Rico some recognition though for still holding onto her value of curiosity and continuing her journey despite suffering from some of the most intense encounters in this series so far. The first season focuses on a few themes such as the lure of the Abyss, sacrifice, and suffering, as seen with Nanachi, and not will be her last. The mystery and discovery of the Abyss that hold countless secrets which drive Rico and the gang to move the plot forward. Season 2 however spent most of their runtime on the 6th layer, the capital of the Unreturned, and mostly focused on the village of the Hollow and the backstory of its creation. The Ganja Gang probably went through some of the worst experience in the series by far. If watching the first season made me do this, the second season made me do this. And this is coming from someone who read the daily life of Mai-chan for fun.
Brother,
and that shit suck.
What's that?
The grotesque and the horrifying backstory is essential for the story and the formation of Iruburu, and also the best girl in anime history, Faputa. But man, I wonder what the author smoked to be able to come up with such story, man. Faputa though, man, I love her so much. She is such a feral gremlin that every time she appears on screen, I am gushing with how much I love her. Even when she is dropping like the hardest Shira Tensei line in the series, I'm still hooked. I love her, man. Although I was confused initially as to why we need to watch the backstory of some random adventuring squad, each episode slowly show us, the viewer, the backstory of the village creation, and I can't help but initially be intrigued by the resident of the Hollow Village and the culture they cultivated over time as shown by what they consider valuable and important. It's also interesting to see the Vueco's crew and Riko's adventure to intertwine in the present day, and with all the information that was given across the season, the ending, in my opinion, left me with quite an impact. I felt like I've lost something important amongst the chaos that occurred in the last few episodes, but at the same time, I feel like everything was met with a conclusive ending. It's very hard to describe, so let me share some of the other anime that you might have seen before so you can kind of compare the two. The most prominent two anime with the most baffling ending in my opinion has gotta be Akame ga Kill and Darling in the Franxx. I'll be mentioning some spoilers for these two, so feel free to skip to this timeline, but yeah. I remember when I was in high school and I started watching anime, Akame ga Kill was one of the few action anime that got me further into this rabbit hole, and overall, it's pretty good. Until it wasn't. They start off killing each character from both the good side and the evil side each week, I guess to, I don't know, shock the viewer. And I guess it worked for the first few ones, but when it's every single episode, it diminishes the effect so much that by the end of the anime, I am totally checked out. And I felt completely nothing. Except I do like the fact that Ezra got her good ending, so you know, Team SF baby. Darling in the Franxx started off pretty good. I hate mecha anime with passion and I can't stand watching them, but I decided to give this one a try, and it was pretty alright. Although the whole, you know, the NTR aspect in the middle of the series did upset me a little bit, but you know, I give it a try. You know, I continue watching it because I do like the world building that they set up. At least that's what they were doing until the last few episodes where the setup came crashing down because now there's a motherfucking alien now. Ooh. Look, all I'm saying is that these two anime were good until they botched the ending. More so for Darling in the Franxx because, you know, the fucking alien came out of nowhere and it pisses me off so much to this day. And yeah, going back to Main Abyss, Season 1 ended itself with that montage, and man, the goddamn music, man, mamma mia, the music. It elevates the whole montage to a whole new level because it gave me the goosebump every single time I watch it. It's still amazing. The package floating through every single layer, accompanied by the soundtrack Tomorrow, make me feel nostalgic about a place that I have never even visited, and man, that pan out to the overview of the island is chef kiss, man. Season 2 probably has less of an impact compared to the first season, but it's still pretty good. That last shot of Faputa standing by herself in front of the dark abyss, combined with Vueco's narration and the soundtrack Gravity, is still memorable. In the end though, from the start of the beginning, I am thoroughly engaged with all the stuff that is happening on the screen, and at the end of the day, that's all that matters. The soundtrack refers to the music that plays or an audio component that chills in the background of a film, video game, or anime, and they play a crucial role in enhancing the overall experience in the scene. It's generally used for various reasons such as emotional engagement, setting up atmosphere, character's theme, narrative support, and memorability. Old Stories was the first soundtrack that's played in Season 2, and it set up the emotional tone as we see this ugly bastard holding down a child. which kindly remind us that yeah, this show ain't for kids, and they are setting the tone from the start. The OST carries a haunting and ethereal quality while also conditioning itself as an OST that is associated with connection to the past and its culture, invoking a sense of nostalgia because it's probably the most played OST in the season. It's sad, emotional, and it certainly hooked me the moment I heard it. Other soundtracks such as Sunken, Gravity, and Jory Mode Mutation also plays its role in supporting the scene that I play with. But I think another OST that fucked me up as badly as Old Story has to be VOH, or VOH. This song is the embodiment of sorrow, despair, anguish, and compassion all in one. The amount of feeling that it hits you in a moment is just brutal, especially in that scene in episode 7 where Irumyori started giving birth to the rabbits. And when this song started playing, man, holy fuck, that is insane. The whole episode was pure suffering, and both make sure that we felt Irumyori's pain. And as I said, the soundtrack enhanced experience, so whenever they play this soundtrack, it's conditioned into my brain to invoke a certain feeling and emotion, and that still persists even after I finish the series. I am basically tearing up right now as I'm writing this script because I'm listening to old stories in the background. Season 1 didn't disappoint in the OST department either, with Hanazabe Karadina, First Layer, Pathway, and Tomorrow each respectively setting the tone for the scene they are playing in, and I'm never getting sick of listening to any of these. There's probably a lot more I could talk about this anime and why I love it so much, but like I said earlier, I'm pretty bad at using words to convey my feeling and reasoning, so before I finish up this video, let me ask you guys something. What do you think of Wazukian as a character? Do you think he's a villain? A savior? If you ask me, it's understandable why he did some of the stuff he's done, but I'll probably be in the exact shoes of Belaf because no way in hell could I withstand the guilt of eating Irumyori's children. But that's just me. Let me know what you guys think, and as usual, please give the video a like and subscribe if you haven't, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.